Hi, everyone. My name is Alicia Tong, COO, Great Place to Work Institute, Greater China. Today, I have a privilege to actually introduce you several special ones to continue our special session, Best Workplace for Women series. Let me pass it on to Teresa.
Thank you so much, Alicia. I'm delighted to be here today, and I want to introduce some of the other panelists. My name is Teresa Norton. I run my business with my son, Sam. It's called Star Maker. We do coaching and training with some of the wonderful companies that work with Great Place to Work. Happy to be here with you. I'm going to say hello and good day to Dr. Stacy Lee Ford from the University of Hong Kong, focusing on gender studies. Stacy, can you say a quick good morning and hello for us?
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here. We are looking at the intersection of gender, generation, and work here at Hong Kong U. So delighted to be part of the conversation today.
Thank you. And the subject of our story today, we've got Qin Dong, who is with us from Conrad Hotel, which is one of the Hilton hotels. Good morning and hello.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Qing from the Hilton Hotel. I'm currently the Chief Accountant of the Conrad Hong Kong. It's my great honor to participate in this workshop today.
Listen, it's wonderful to have everybody here, and I'm going to start us off by using a tool that was developed by a friend and colleague of mine, Ken Adams. And he is a playwright and an improviser and an actor, and he came up with something called the story spine. And it gives you a wonderful structure, a skeleton for telling just about any story under the sun. And the interesting thing about using the story spine is that you find that at any point in this story, something could have changed and the end of the story changed. So let's take a journey now to look at the story of Qin. Once there was a bright and curious young woman from Nanjing named Qin. She worked hard at school and eventually went abroad to study in Singapore and the United Kingdom, where she earned her master's degree in international business economics. And so upon graduating from university, she decided to look for a career that would offer travel and exposure to people from different backgrounds. Back in her hometown of Nanjing, Qin was accepted into Hilton's management training program and was hired as a finance management trainee. During her second year-end review, the director of finance asked Qin what her career aspirations were in 5 to 10 years. And she said confidently, "I want to be director of finance." And every day she paid close attention to how the finance department supported the other departments in the hotel. When after just 4 months, her boss left the hotel, and Qin felt quite lost and so alone. But she took the initiative to speak with HR and the regional finance team and was assigned a mentor who was the regional finance director and encouraged and guided her. Until one day, there was a period of great turnover in the hotel, and Qin had to take over many, many additional duties. There was so much to do, and she found herself working until 2 o'clock in the morning, many, many nights. And because of that, she realized that she needed to be proactive about her career expectations and desire for greater exposure to the business. And because of that, her training schedule was amended and she was offered support from other hotels and the regional finance team. And because of that, Qin gained exposure to many other people in the company and was offered the role of assistant to the regional director in Shanghai. Until finally, she took over the role of chief accountant at the Conrad Hotel in Hong Kong. She missed her friends and family, so again, she reached out to HR, who introduced her to many fun aspects of life in Hong Kong, and she started taking Cantonese lessons and learned Tai Chi and embraced the local culture. And so her experiences at Hilton have broadened both her life and her career aspirations. 6 years ago, fresh out of university and just focused on finance, her answer to the question, what do you want to be doing in 5 to 10 years, was, I want to be director of finance. But when the GM of the Conrad recently asked her that same question, Qin answered, I want to be GM. I want to be involved in everything. Now, I won't say this is the end, Qin, because it's not the end of your story. It's where we leave you today. And I've got a couple of questions I want to ask you so that you can flesh things out for us. First of all, it's a great story, and there were so many moments when you took command and commandeered your own career. I want to ask you, do you think that speaking up to ask for support and take that kind of ownership of career is part of your unique character, or do you think that's something that more young women are doing these days?
Thanks for your question, Teresa. I think in generally, the women of the younger generation are more willing to express themselves and more dare to pursuing the work and life they want. But in my cases, it's a more rational and appropriate things to do because I'm very determined for my career goal and I know the culture of the Hilton. Hilton has provided me a very clear career path. So in this journey, I'll definitely face the difficulties and challenges. But I think it's important for me to distinguish them because some of the challenges that you can overcome by the extra effort and the learning you put in, and is also crucial part of the growth and development. But another part which you cannot cope by yourself, that you really need to ask for help and support. Mm-hmm. So I think for my case, I don't mind to go extra mile, but I have to making sure that is the right direction to go. And Hilton have a very good culture. All of the top management team are very easy to approach, and we can get help easily from all the team from the hotel and the regional office as well. And we have no hierarchy. So basically, we can just knock the door and walk in, tell them the difficulty you have. And based on my previous experience, 100% you will get support from them. They will do something for you.
That's
Besides
great.
of that,
one of the things that I just want to say in your story, the whole story would have changed if you hadn't gotten those positive responses from people, right?
Yeah.
If you hadn't received that support, it changes the direction of the story. Let me also ask you, when you are that general manager of the hotel, what kind of what can you do to help remove the obstacles for other women that come along so that they can achieve and exceed their career aspirations? Is it outside challenges that you have to change, or is it their mindset challenges?
Well, first of all, I think the general manager for me is definitely not an easy job to take. It means a great responsibility and commitment. So as my understanding, the biggest obstacle for women is more about the work-life balance, especially in Asia country that women have tend to contribute more and sacrifice more in their families. So with the limited energy and the time we have to pursuing our own personal goal, it's a little bit hard. But what I got very good from the Hilton is I have very good role model, like the VP Finance of Greater China and my ex-boss, the Regional Director of Finance. They are all very successful cases that be my role model they have well demonstrated how well they manage work and life. So I think the power of the role model, which do encourage me a lot. And as my case, I also become the role model of others to bring more positive energy and to inspiring other young talents. And for the Hilton, I think has do a very good job in equal opportunity provided for the female. Like all our talent development programs are open to all, and female even have some favorable because we have like women in leadership work programs. And in China, the Hilton strategy recently is to targeting 30% of the female general manager and 14% of executive committee member by 2025. So that is quite a vast opportunity for the passionate female young talents.
I think that's wonderful. And it's great that you're going to lead by example when you do grab that GM job. I think that's terrific. Let's go over to Stacy now. Stacy, you've listened to Jean's story and also some of her observations about how she's been supported. Any thoughts come up from you? Anything from your research?
Certainly. And first of all, I think that although we're talking about Hilton as a great place to work, Hilton is lucky that Jean has chosen to build her career with them. And I think Jean is typical of so many women that we are seeing in the workforce today, not just here in Hong Kong, but in the region, in the sense that they are confident and they are ready to claim a place at the table, to be sure. There are, as she points out, I think in a very diplomatic fashion, still certain challenges. And I think what we are observing is that women of different generations oftentimes are forced into competitive sorts of roles rather than the collaborative sorts of mentoring relationships that we have spoken about. And that can oftentimes have to do with the ways in which men are still a dominant force, the majority population in certain workplaces. However, I think as Chin has so beautifully articulated, when hierarchies are flattened a bit, when mentorship is taken seriously, and when somebody like Chin is listened to throughout the organization, the ability to balance that personal ambition with institutional or structural opportunity increases. And I think what Chin reminds me of is the importance of what we are calling reverse mentoring, where people sort of above that hierarchy, although we don't call it a hierarchy, but people who are in the GM post or whatever you want to say, the ways in which senior management really does need to listen to those who are in more junior posts.
That's great, Stacey, because those kinds of interactions, those crucial conversations are the ones that can change the story for an employee dramatically. Absolutely.
And these are challenging and complex conversations, to be sure.
Yes. Yeah. It's not a 2-minute conversation. It's consistency over time and getting to understand the desires and the aspirations of the people who are working for you. Yeah, that's
absolutely
great. Hey, Alicia, I'm going to hand over you to wrap us up. You can identify, you've been doing all of the research on this for Great Place to Work. What makes them a great place to work for women?
There are many things we can talk about. Hilton is a company with history and very successful in the market. But as a first-hand observer and as a person has experienced in hospitality myself, I have to name a few that not only Chin mentioned in her conversation. For example, role modeling. That has been a tradition that has been years implemented in Hilton. Women in leadership workshop. And as well, the percentage of how do we actually offer fair opportunities to female employees and make sure their growth path or their career development has been helped. And also there are mentors to help them along the ways and in different phases. And the most quality that I want to highlight here particularly is about how constantly efforts that have been put into these practices. So we are not knowing it today. Actually, they have been doing all of this since years ago. And behind the scene, before people can see, there are also unconscious bias training that has been implemented in-house. So not only female employees understand the direction of what is available for them, but as well for all genders working in the same workplaces. They know this is going to be a very fair, transparent, and equal working places for all. So I would say that's something maybe people doesn't work in Hilton might not be knowing, but today this is my privilege to share with all that this is definitely not only role modeling for female employees, a role model for all industries in the market. Congratulations, Hilton.
Thank you. And thank you, Alicia, for sharing. Thank you, Dr. Ford, for being with us today. Well, I want to say General Manager Dong, but you haven't finished your story yet. So we'll give you a little time to get to that point in the story. Thank you all for participating. Thank those of you who are watching. We're interested in your comments. What are the things that change the story for women? We want to hear from you about that. And with that, I will bid you a fond adieu and hope we all live happily ever after.